Hey y'all. So we gonna make a video right now because I'm shook. Literally shook it, okay? Did I use that word right? I don't know. Alright, so I want to basically just clear everything up. So this is about mental health, and if you're watching this, it's literally probably because you're looking for something that has something to do with mental health, I guess. Let me make sure that no one's here because they don't like when I do my videos when people are here, so let's do it. Alright, so don't smoke, kids. So right now I'm at my point, I want to clear things up for people. Nothing to brag about. I have been hospitalized 13 times, okay? My first hospitalization was 2015 in June. I was admitted for aggressive behaviors. After my first time in a mental hospital, this is the process that I went through. Under an ECO, emergency custody order. Also, there's a TDO, temporary detention order, but I was under an ECO at the time. So, what happens then, under an ECO, emergency custody order, your parents can go up to the magistrate. If y'all don't know what that is, look it up. They can go up there and have a file put in. You can file for an emergency custody order, which will then give whatever, I live in Chesterfield, so Chesterfield County Police, the custody of you. They will take you to a hospital, usually a local ER, and you will be interviewed by a mental health specialist, and you will be seen by doctors and nurses to basically medically clear you. During this process, I know my first time I had went because I was being aggressive. I fell back and basically slit my head on a dresser, and there was a gash about this big in my head and blood gushing out of my head. Not going into details, that was scary. But I was then taken to the ER by my mom and my grandma. And when we showed up to the ER, they were like, okay, we're going to give you staples and you'll be good to go. Little did I know, my mom had talked to my case manager and caseworker, and they said I needed to be admitted to a hospital for aggressive behaviors. So my mom didn't want to tell me this because I would have flipped out. But what then happened is nurses came in and they said, hey, this person wants to talk to you. And I'm like, then talk. So this person comes in and they're talking to me. My 12-year-old self scared because I'm like, who the fuck is this person? Why are they talking to me and asking me a whole bunch of questions about my life and my mental health and how I'm doing? I don't know about that because I'm 12. So I was freaking out. But what then happened was basically they talk to you, they do a screening, and they'll be like, okay, it was nice talking to you. Then they'll walk away. Next thing you know, the nurse comes, hey, I need to take you to this part of the building. And I'm like, for what? So basically, they wheeled me to a different part of the hospital, which apparently the hospital that I was born at has a psychiatric part of it, which is known as Tucker's Pavilion. So what they did was I was screened. I was talked to by this really cute doctor. He was so fine. Cute. So, talked to me, then was like, okay, well, you're going to have to stay here for about 5 days. And I'm like, for what? So, I ended up staying there for 5 days, and it's it all depends on what level of care you are. It all depends on your risk and what hospitals will take you. So, the first time, it was I wasn't that high risk. I just needed medication, and they were diagnosing me with a whole bunch of dumb shit that I now take meds for. So it was scary, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is all of this? Ugh. But I ended up staying there, and I cried, and moving on, because that's a very small part. Now what y'all really need to know about mental health is I'm going to tell y'all step by step in the ER, and depending on your situation. So, for me, another time I had been, there was a TDO. So, I was laying down on the couch, I had my boots on. Fucking cops come in the apartment that we were staying at, comes through the door, grabs me. So of course, my 14-year-old self is like, all right, bitch, let's fight. So I lost that fight. Ended up in handcuffs. Ended up in the back of the cop car, and taken to Chesterfield Mental Health, where I literally laid on a bench for over 8 hours. A mental health person from Chesterfield Mental Health talked to me and was like, we're sending you to Commonwealth. And I'm like, for what? So it was a very long process. It all depends on your situation. Sometimes you will be taken to the local ER, and then other times you will be taken to your local mental health facility or mental health center. Like community service board. Some of y'all should know what that is, depending on your age. Like hours, I know I'm using my phone to record shit. In my phone, I have the Chesterfield Mental Health number in my phone because apparently they found it a reason to give me their number when I went to go get, yet again, interviewed / fucking, what do they call it? Like when they be talking to you and stuff, then it'd be like, an assessment. So I went for an assessment and they were like, here's our mental health number. And I'm just like, do y'all think I'm that high risk still? So they gave it to me, and long story short, the police in Chesterfield were really fucked up because, like, I felt fine because sometimes I have episodes, I'll freak the fuck out, just go off, then I'll be fine by the next morning. So I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I'm like, okay, am I going home? And the police are like, yeah, come on, get in the car. And I'm like, yay, I'm going home. I get to go apologize to my mom for everything that I did. No. I get in the car, and they have this address in. And I'm like, excuse me, miss bitch. That's not my address. And they're like, no, we're going to your home. So I'm like, shit, they're cops. They're telling me the truth. They lied. So that's not what happened. They, actually, took me to a hospital. And I was like, they eventually told me, yeah, well, you're going to a hospital. I'm like, can we at least go get, my clothes and my stuffed animals and my blankets and stuff then? And they were like, no. So, long story short, I keep on saying that, 2 hours later, I was sitting in a fucking intake room at a facility 2.5 hours away from where I live. And, yep, I sit down. The lady's like, oh, don't worry. Most people just stay here 5 days. You'll be out before you know it. After being restrained 15 times, and after 30 long days of being at that facility, I went home. But got admitted 4 days later because the doctor fucked up my meds. And I had a chemical imbalance. So, then again, I had to go back to the hospital, got my meds fixed, came home. About a year later, back in the hospital. Now, the long story short about this is what a lot of people don't explain. They don't explain the process. And that's why I'm ranting and telling y'all, because y'all need to know the truth about this. People that suffer from severe depression, anxiety, PTSD, schizophrenia, this stuff, people don't understand this. And then it's they don't know this. So it just makes their anxiety worse when people are like, okay, we're going to do this. They don't know the process. They don't know the steps. Some people, if it's their first time, they don't know the steps. They don't know what's going on. So, long story short, I keep on saying that again, but most of the times, it depends on your situation. You'll be taken to your local ER. You'll check in. You'll basically be like, let me set my cigarette down. You go up to the counter and be like, I'm suicidal. Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself, and the police told me to come here. And they'll be like, okay, don't freak out. Just go sit down. Next thing you know, fucking bitch walks in. Follow me this way. And you're like, oh gosh. So you fucking follow them. Then you walk into this room, a green room, and you're like, what? Then they're like, strip, give us all of your stuff. And I'm like, no. So, they'll take you into an intake room, or if you're like me and you try to overdose, they'll send you to an ER room to basically monitor your meds and monitor your heart rate and just monitor all that. So, sometimes they'll sit you in an intake room, and sometimes they'll put you in an actual ER room where you're hooked up to stuff, And either way, it ends up being an 8 to 16 hour process. Just because in Chesterfield, there's a lot of mental health cases. So the mental health specialists at the ER, they get really caught up. But by the time they get to you, they'll talk to you. They'll be like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. The next step of that process after you talk to them is you wait another couple of hours. The nurse will come in. Yeah, they're calling local mental health facilities right now. Another 3 hours later, they'll come in. Yeah, we found a bed. Another 2 hours later, an officer will come in and be like, we gotta go now. So it all depends on your situation. Either way, being in the intake, the psych intake, or being in an ER room, what usually ends up happening is you will be assessed, they'll talk to you, calm you down. Then the next process is they call hospitals. They go through their list. They have a list of hospitals. I know for the state of Virginia, they have Poplar Springs Hospital in Petersburg, Tucker Pavilion in Chesterfield, Newport News Behavioral Health Center out in Newport News, Commonwealth Center for Children and Adolescents out in Stanton, Virginia, Cumberland Hospital, Virginia Commonwealth Center for Children, which is located in Richmond. So, a lot of times, they'll basically like go through a list and be like, okay, you were not accepted at this hospital. But usually in the state of Virginia, if you're not accepted by any hospital, they send you to this place, Commonwealth Center for Children and Adolescents. It's a 4-unit hospital. Each unit has 12 beds, 6 for girls, 6 for boys. They have a school inside of it for people that are there like for 30 days like I was at that one time. And they also have the school just basically as a fill-in for the schedule for the whole hospital, you know. So, if you're not accepted to any other hospital, that hospital has to take you. Commonwealth cannot decline any admission notes that they get. If an admission note comes in, they have to take you. If their admission note comes in and it says not accepted at any other hospital, blah 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 blah, lists these symptoms, blah 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 blah, did this and that, this is the reason for admission, they cannot decline you. It's a state hospital, they have to take you. So, anyways, again, the process, they'll assess you, they'll let you know what hospitals have and haven't accepted you, then they'll come in and they'll be like, okay, this is what's going to happen, you're going to this facility. You will be transported either by a police officer or EMS. You can't decide what you want. You can name your preference, hey, I'd feel more comfortable in an ambulance on the way, or I'd rather be comfortable handcuffed in the back of a cop car that has no seats in it. Like, you know how some cops have plastic seats? Yeah. I've been transported like 100% of the time by cops. Only been transported to one hospital by ambulance. So, this is the stuff that people don't talk about. The process and how long it actually takes. And if you ever get admitted to a hospital and they're like, oh, it will only take 3 hours, multiply that by 10. Multiply that by 6. It's not going to take 3 hours, honey. It's going to take, and we were in the hospital, in the ER for over 24 hours, waiting for the mental health specialist to get in contact with hospitals. So, I spent about 24 hours in the ER, plus 10 days in a mental health facility. The video's already been over 15 minutes. I just basically wanted to give y'all a rundown of what happens, because people don't explain, and then people freak out when they get to the ER because they're like, I was told it'll be 3 hours. And I'm like, no, boo-boo. It's not going to be 3 hours. Multiply that by 6, and that's how long you'll be here at minimum. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. If you like, go ahead and like. I will post other content to the channel, but I basically like needed to vent and get this off my chest and basically like let y'all know what actually happens, because people don't really talk about it. There's so many videos that you can watch and they'll be like, my mental health hospital experience, stuff that people don't talk about. All they do is tell their story. They don't tell you the process. But that's the process. So if you like the video, it was a really long 15-minute video of me just talking and letting y'all know what happens. But that's the end of the video. I will be uploading more content later. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Just do whatever with the video. Bye.